Everyone, welcome to the Board of Finance regular meeting. It's February 19, 2026, and it's approximately 6 p.m. Public comments?
No public comment.
One?
Live one.
Hello, I'm Sheila McCrevin, 63 Center Road.
Welcome.
Good evening. I just have some brief comments I wanted to make, and I'm going to read them, and then I'm going to hand them into the record as well. So I wanted to speak briefly about the proposed inclusion of $500,000 from the sale of town-owned property in the operating budget for next year. As some of you may know, many years ago, I served as chair of CUPOP during that time that the 2015-2025 Plan of Conservation and Development was drafted. During that process, CUPOP and the Conservation Commission met jointly several times to develop formal recommendations regarding the classification, management, acquisition, and potential sale of publicly owned property. Those joint recommendations were approved by both commissions in July 2014, submitted to the TPZ for inclusion in the POCD at the time, and also presented to the Board of Selectmen for policy consideration. I'm providing a copy of those recommendations for the clerk. In the section in those recommendations addressing sale of publicly owned property, the Commission recommended that where parcels do not align with large open space goals and are sold, the proceeds should be placed in a special fund for future open space purchases or to maintain existing open space, and that such monies not be used for general town expenses. Importantly, when these recommendations were drafted, we were aware of the town's financial policy regarding the treatment of one-time revenue. The town's policy and practices section, which is in your annual audit document, states, "The town avoids the practice of using large one-time revenues for ongoing expenditures. When large one-time revenues are received, the town will either use them for large one-time capital expenditures or deposit the funds into the undesignated fund balance." That's a quote. So I recognize that the Board of Finance does not set policy. That's a job that the Board of Selectmen has. However, the Board of Finance does play an essential role in reviewing the fiscal treatment of revenues and ensuring consistency with our financial policies and long-term structured balance. So my understanding is that the revenue gap being addressed next year stems from changes in state motor vehicle reimbursement rates. So while I appreciate that this drop in funding occurred suddenly within a single fiscal year, which might lend itself to being perceived as a one-time adjustment, it is my understanding that the reimbursement itself is not expected to return under current law, and that suggests we may be dealing with a structural shift in revenue rather than a temporary anomaly. To be clear, I am not opposing the sale of any particular parcel. In fact, it was Richard Kruger, as a member of CUPOP in 2014, who suggested that the parcel on Milan Road would be a good candidate for such a sale. And that suggestion helped inspire CUPOP and Conservation to develop joint recommendations for the creation of a thoughtful policy framework for how such sales could occur and how proceeds should be treated. That work is well documented, and I'm hopeful that the Board of Selectmen will revisit that material as they proceed. But tonight, what I am asking the Board of Finance to consider is narrow and fiscal in nature. If the revenue gap before us represents a structural change to state reimbursement rather than a temporary anomaly, then the question is whether the use of asset sale proceeds to support the operating budget is consistent with our financial policies and long-term fiscal discipline. The board plays an important role in guarding structural balance. I respectfully ask that you consider whether this is an appropriate treatment of those proceeds or whether placement in a special or capital fund would better align with the principles previously articulated by the town. Public land is finite, and the procedures we set as to how we treat its sale matter. So using the proceeds from a one-time asset sale to close a structural operating gap is not a sustainable fiscal practice. Instead, Those proceeds should be placed in a protected special fund and used for land stewardship, capital improvement such as open space acquisition, or reserves that strengthen the town's long-term financial position. Thank you for this opportunity to comment.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
if you want it digitally, I can send it to you. Or?
Either way, and I'll take it and, okay, I'll scan it.
Is it possible we could get a copy of that sent to us? Could you, after you scan it could you send it to?
Sure, absolutely.
If I
Maybe
email
all
it
of
to
us.
her, she'll have the attachment as well. So.
Thank you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you so much.
All right, next item on the agenda, Tony's administrative report.
We've had a number of challenges this year, and I'll go into a few of them in the report. So our report is a estimated year-end deficit of $57,000, which brings our fund balance decreased to $857,000 because we had an allocation from fund balance this year. So it would bring us slightly below 15%, or a little under $9 million. And our charge for services, we have a shortfall projected of $165,000 from mainly three or four sources. One is child center, loss of rental income from the child center, that's $68,000. $75,000 anticipated shortfall in transfer station fees. That's a result of when we created the budget, we had anticipated that fees were going to be increased, and they were not. So that resulted in a shortfall there, along with some reduced tonnage on our bulky waste. Now the reduced tonnage on our bulky waste has benefited our expenses, but in this particular instance, it's caused a shortfall in our revenues. I do understand the selectmen are reviewing those fees and possibly taking some action on that in the future. We also have slight shortfalls in recreation and senior fees. We did receive a little under $70,000 education-related fees. Most of that is from the City of New Haven for educational expenses related to the prior year, and about $10,000 in tuition revenue for BOE staff. That's nothing, we didn't budget for that, so that's found revenue. In terms of our expenditures, there is a projected shortfall, and there's a funding request to address this because we put air conditioning in the gym, and that's the main reason for the shortfall in the electricity account. Depending on the usage of the community center, that may also have a shortfall, but I want to see how the year plays out in the use of the facility. Natural gas, as you could all imagine, we're experiencing possible shortfalls in some of those accounts. Just watching the trends from last year compared to this year and compared to budget. So we keep an eye on that, and possibly when the weather starts to break a little, we'll have a better idea of exactly how much, and then we could address that matter. The police contract was settled, and so we have to address retroactive pay for adjusted wages. And I'm just keeping an eye on the overtime primarily, and the filling of vacant positions, and adjusting the estimates based on that, because a decent portion of it they could probably cover within their own budget. So I'm working with the chief on that, and we're trying to see if we can cover as much as possible without using additional funds. Public Works has exhausted their overtime, as you could probably imagine. And as when I did this report, the deficit was $71,000. So we'll require some funds for that. We do have some surplus funds in we'll have surplus funds in the Public Works Director position due to the retiring of Warren Connors. And there are also some surplus funds possibly in their wage account due to some injuries. So I'm hopeful that we can, some of that we can cover from the department. We're also trying to realign some priorities to try to cover as much as we can within the department. I always try to realign department priorities before coming to contingency some other source. You will see the salt supplies we have on this month's agenda. We do have salt, and are hoping for a delivery in the next week or so. we're on, I don't know if you've heard, there's a shortage of salt. Yeah, so we have some salt, and we are on the list for a delivery in the next week or two. So hopefully, we don't get any major activity until then.
We gotta pray for this weekend, right?
We use it sparingly, and we've
Yep.
been fine. We have enough for one big storm, so,
This has to
But
be
not
it.
big.
yeah, so if we have one big storm, they'll probably use it, you know. Generally, it's hills, intersections, certain sections, it's used more than others, if we're running low. Finally, the Amity Regional School District has an estimated reduction of $305,000. That leaves us with a surplus in their account. And I had the fire chief send you a couple of letters based on some issues that he may be having in his budget. And so we will keep an eye on that as well. So we have a lot going on this year, mainly due to the weather and some building-related matters.
In terms of warrant, you mentioned the salary could cover some of the, do you think we have a replacement?
Yes, there's a
before-
replacement plan for that, but
Before
there'll be a gap between when he left and when,
we replace the person?
yeah, and there hasn't been a decision made as to the timing of that or the scope of that, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any
I have a
questions?
question, just broadly. There's like a theme in these board papers, and I'd say that probably over the last couple of months,
Yes,
where our infrastructure has been challenged by the recent weather.
yes.
So are there any longer-term solutions that we're contemplating?
So in the budget, there are several. The first is, and where we've had a lot of issues is with HVAC, heating and air conditioning. And there is an item in there, $2.5 million to actually borrow funds to address HVAC issues in the police department.
Yes.
In the town hall, as you know, we had our air conditioning fail. The library, which is now, 25 years old? I think it was done in 2000, right? Or maybe even earlier. And as you know, there are some issues at the firehouse.
Can you believe they're 18 years old already?
The firehouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new firehouse.
Right, new
is
firehouse,
18
right.
years old. I mean,
So,
Is that the original HVAC at the firehouse?
yes, original at the
So it's
firehouse.
near the end of its life.
Yeah,
It
the
just
original at
went
the
so
firehouse,
quickly.
original at the library. We've done some replacing of different components over the years. And the one from this building and the one from the police are from the 90s. So we've got some challenges there.
Yeah.
The other area is with roofs.
Yeah.
And there's also money in there for roofing, this roof and the center building roof. They're both done, when I first got here in like the early 2000s. That's when they were both done.
So we're gonna go to bond for all this stuff, right?
Well, that's
That's the
sort of
idea.
the
That's the
idea is
idea.
to,
We moved a lot of that out of the CapEx line into
correct.
the bond line.
Yes, correct,
Yeah.
correct. Simply because we started to realize that there's a lot more to be done than just a little here and a little there.
Smart, yeah.
And then there's another matter of, like, this building has some leaks, if you saw that in the capital budget. So in the town clerk's office, it actually leaks in that corner of the building. So that one we have to address.
That keeps getting patched and.
Where Steph was,
Right,
yeah. It's been leaking for a while.
I know.
Yeah, when you were here, it was leaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
It's
we have,
terrible.
that's another one we have to
They
address.
all have, they have to have all this documents.
So yes, there's a
down
common
there.
theme. Yes.
Okay. I also saw something in there about a micro turbine maintenance agreement increase that was on, maybe I was looking at different.
Micro turbine. Was this in the budget?
Thought it was in your report, but I can go.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Could you repeat that?
I think I saw within, see, now I should probably go back and find the document that I saw it in before I say that. I thought it was in the finance report, but it might have been one of the other early
A
documents.
micro turbine
Yes.
replacement?
Yeah, that's right.
Rings a bell, Mika?
It was maintenance or something on the
Maintenance,
microturbine.
yes.
Oh, are you thinking maybe one of the funding requests?
Oh, was that, I jumped ahead, sorry. Yes, sorry, Tony.
It could be, we've had a number of maintenance requests. Maybe when we get to that topic, we can discuss that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
I'll pull up the actual document before I.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Next item on the agenda, I wanted to discuss amongst ourselves I guess we're gonna do the Board of Ed report first.
That's just for your information. Do you go to the meetings?
They changed the meeting, so I can't go to them anymore. But I talked to the superintendent to try and get a summary, so.
I knew they have a small surplus.
Just an update.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have a small surplus of, according to the report, of $84,000.
Good.
Good start.
Yeah, good start. Yeah, good for that. So I wanted to discuss amongst ourselves quickly the Amity budget. On the 23rd, the Finance Committee is gonna vote on a potential increase of what percentage or some sort. And right now, as it stands, it's a 1.5%, 1.54% increase in expenses. They expect insurance to go up, so they may see another $200,000, so that could push it to 1.7% increase. And Woodbridge obviously is getting the lion's share of that. What's driving the increase from my perspective is the new schedule at the middle school. And with the new schedule proposed at the middle school, it's gonna increase the amount of FTEs, an additional 4 to 6 teachers at the middle school. From my
You're saying
attend,
they're planning to hire 4 to 6 teachers at the middle school
additional teachers,
for FY '27 and beyond, I
yeah, to support,
guess. Okay.
This is with the leveling, right?
not even the
Changes.
No,
leveling,
it's
but
the-
a new
it's-
schedule where
it's a new
The new scale, okay.
you have more language electives, more PE, and so forth. And
Are
my
those
understanding,
full-time? Did you say full-time? 4 to
Full-time,
6
yeah.
full-time.
so right now it's been
Some of those are
negotiated.
divided up, I think, between Bethany and Orange, so, but they are full-time, but it's like half it.
Got it.
Someone might be half at one and half at the
Okay.
other.
Yeah,
Understood.
so
It's not all just in Bethany.
Right.
one of
That's
the
a good point.
proposals was to move a full-time PE teacher from the high school to the middle school to support, I think, 4 FTEs. So digging deeper into it, the superintendent had sent out a survey to parents, and around 20% of the parents responded, which they think is sufficient to move ahead. But from the Board of Ed meetings, a lot of questions, a lot of public comments from teachers, from PE staff. It just doesn't seem like the rollout is a smooth one. So from our perspective, we can't recommend with them what to do from the educational standpoint, but from a budget standpoint, I'm saying Woodbridge stands in terms of the budget. Regardless of where the insurance is, we cannot go above 1.5% increase. Just gonna have a discussion amongst
So-
you guys, what your thoughts were, and just
I don't want to go out of order, but so
No,
when
go
we
ahead.
had the presentation, Dr. Byers was originally calling for 6 FTEs,
and
right?
she
Which
negoti-
included a
yeah.
couple of coaches for sports, I think, and then I saw the memo. We pulled it back, and now it's going back up again.
Well, it was 6. She
It went to
scaled
4.
it back to 4.
And now she wants 2
Well,
back.
I think it's at 4.
It's still at
I think
4.
it's still at 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, my concern with Amity, amongst a few things, right, is there's $1 million in debt that's coming off the books there.
Yes.
So it is revealing this very, I think, reasonable 2% rate, right? When you take that $1 million and you go back in, it's actually going up by almost 8% in their spending. So, you can take $1 million, put it in your pocket, reappropriate it, right? But, and I know it's across 3 towns, but I really have I have an issue with
Right.
taking $1 million and then just redistributing it within your budget, right? And the optics look good, right? I mean, they came in like school budget, like less than 2%, great, but
Can I ask you a question, Scott? So
Yeah.
you're saying that $1 million is debt service, correct?
Correct.
It's coming off.
Correct.
Okay, is it $1 million for Woodbridge or for all three towns?
across all three
All three
towns.
towns,
Yeah.
okay, so they're figuring, well, we've got $1 million coming back into our budget, so let's.
They have $1 million falling off of their
Right,
budget,
so they figured, so
which
that's.
is
so
now
that-
been repurposed back within the
Uh-huh.
budget to make to give us
Understood.
an
Okay.
attractive, less than 2% increase
Uh-huh.
when you look at.
Interesting.
So the question is,
So-
without these 4 FTEs, what does the budget look like? And that would be my next question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they go to bond, if they do the bonding request, the debt service comes back in, and then so it's,
Well, right, and we know that there's another 30 million that's around the corner.
right,
Right, I mean, that was made clear.
50. Was it 50?
well, 30 for us, maybe.
I thought it was 30 for Amity and 50 for Beecher.
No, it's 50 for both,
Okay.
as of right now.
What do you mean, 50?
Donovan?
50?
Amity is proposing a bond of 50 million to do a bunch of stuff, and
Okay.
there's a
Oh, that's right,
placeholder
we
in
heard that
ours.
at the end of her presentation. Right, okay. Wow.
Donovan, just to be clear, just to make sure I understand correctly, I do recall, like Scott had mentioned, they initially or originally looked for 6 FTEs. I had received or seen or received communication indicating that they had at minimum dropped that down to 4. Did I
Yeah,
understand that to still be the case? Or
That's-
did that change?
that's correct. They initially was at 6, they dropped it down to 4.
Correct.
I didn't
I'm
see.
still concerned about it, as Scott had said, in terms of particularly this year's budget with the implications that there are in it. So, okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood and they didn't bring it back up, but.
Yeah, so it's not being driven by an increase in enrollment, it's being driven by
Right.
the new schedule.
Right, understood.
And I just have a question, because we don't, I mean, the Amity budget goes to referendum, so we don't really have an impact in it, other than whether we, as the Board of Finance in Woodbridge, my understanding is we could make some comment about we don't support this budget. I don't remember us doing that in the past, because we haven't, but I think this year with the budget we're facing in the town, and with what appears to be just a policy decision to offer more flexibility in foreign language, that necessitates a lot of reshuffling and a lot of, I personally, I think we should, if we have that purview, and if we all agree to sort of put a stake in the ground and say, we can't support this initiative. One, the curriculum or scheduling change. And I also think I think we should have a position on the bonding in terms of what they're planning to do over there as well. I mean, I know that they're talking about, yet again, artificial turf at the middle schools. I think that's a problematic venture. I think they're trying to do some renovation work or something on the media centers in all 3 buildings.
Library and stuff.
I'm a little concerned about what the process is by which they made these decisions to do this. My understanding, and I could be wrong, and so I'm hesitant to talk in a public meeting, but I'm not hesitating that much, that I don't know that the Board of Ed or the Finance Committee at Amity was informed of what the building committee was thinking about in those things. And I don't think she did a good job of presenting what those changes were, and I think we need to push back as we can, if it's appropriate. I mean, I think that's the question is do we as the Board of Finance think it's appropriate for us to put a stake in the ground and say, we have concerns, or do we want to go further and say we're not supporting
Right.
this?
Can we send a memo? I don't know whether we've done this before. Maybe Mika, you know, but I don't recall. Do we have the authority or whatever the word is to send a letter from this Board of Finance to the Amity Board of Education listing our concerns? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know, is that
I would
something?
say we absolutely,
Yep.
I would say we absolutely have the ability to do that, and that seems like an appropriate action if that's the way the board feels. it is just simply a communication to
Correct.
their finance committee indicating that there's a significant concern.
Right.
Woodbridge voters will be asked to vote on it, and I think it is important that they understand where our Board of Finance stands on it.
Yeah, exactly,
As
because the
well as the
decision
Board of
lies
Selectmen.
with the voters in the end, that's who decides
Right.
this. But it would just be on record, that we went on record voicing our concerns.
That's right.
And if you want, you can listen, the Orange has always had a special Board of Finance Amity meeting last week, and they raised a lot of these same concerns.
Were they going to send a letter as well, or just?
I don't know that there
Board
was
of-
an action
yeah.
item.
Okay,
Because they
Just thought
expressed
I'd
it.
ask.
They expressed it directly,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
they usually do, right there, and they just sort
oh
of.
yeah, they're not quiet.
They're not quiet. But in my time on the Board of Finance, I don't know that we had well, I'm not gonna speak for others, I don't know that I had as much of pushback as I have on this budget.
Right, I agree with you.
Yeah, it's a tough budget year to begin with, so maybe not, this year is not a year to.
So do we need a motion to have somebody draft something like that, or would you just like consensus? I don't know. I Christina and Javier, I don't know how you guys feel about this as well.
I agree with the concerns that were expressed.
I move to send the letter.
I'll second that.
Also,
Okay.
Who's second?
Who's going to
I
draft the
think
letter?
I heard Tom second.
I mean, I mean, we could talk about who drafts, but I think it should come from Donovan as
Yeah,
the chair.
right.
All right, I'll draft something,
Maybe draft something and
and we'll
send.
talk about
Um,
it.
Are we
I'm
doing
sorry,
something ex
not to interrupt, but
parte?
I think there was a motion made. Javier, did I understand that to be a motion?
Correct.
So I believe we should ask for a second?
I
Is
did
there-
second
We
it,
did-
sorry,
we
maybe
did.
I didn't hear it, I did second it.
I just,
Okay.
I wanted, yeah, I just
I-
wanted to
I'm sorry, I
discuss
didn't hear
something
it. I'm
else.
sorry, excuse me.
No, that's okay. You okay out there? I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
All right,
So maybe you could, I don't know if you're allowed to send a draft letter to us for our approval, or if that's some kind of ex parte thing that happens, but.
I would suggest in order to make it not an illegal meeting, that Donovan drafts a letter.
I was gonna say, I'd like to amend the motion to say draft. I move to draft a letter for consideration
And I would
to the
suggest
Amity
that.
Board of Finance.
And
Finance Committee.
I second that again, and I think, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm gonna, hopefully not stepping into it, but I think the safest course of action is that Donovan can draft a letter, send it to us, none of us respond to that letter, and then we can discuss it at the next meeting,
Correct, that sounds good to me too.
just to be sure that we're.
We'll just have Gay, put the letter in
The packet.
the packet
Yeah.
for the next meeting.
And put on the agenda to
Yeah,
vote on it.
we'll do it on the
Can-
4th.
When did
We
they
can
vote
discuss it
again?
on March
On the 4th,
4th.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You mentioned the date they were gonna vote on this.
I think they're meeting on the 23rd,
Of
which is Monday.
February?
Okay, well, it doesn't matter, we'll still get the point in before the vote, I guess.
Because we can't discuss it
I don't know.
off.
I mean, I think that,
Offline, I
again,
think.
maybe Donovan can reach out to them as the liaison and just say, this is what is coming
Right.
for your
That's a great
consideration
idea.
on that.
Right, that's a good idea.
And we'll be sending you a formal letter.
And Donovan, I don't know if this pertains to the letter, but I did want to bring up the timing of the presentation of the budget from Amity, right? And the fact that they were not ready, or we didn't have any of the materials that, it was like a 150-page budget
Yeah, it
that
came
she
over
provided.
pretty
that
late, yeah.
Bethany, I think, saw it maybe a week or two before. So it existed, if you look at the schedule and how that was rolled out. And I think,
That's right, we had.
I don't know if you want to
Right,
include
right.
that
We ended
in,
up
but
moving them out a week
we ended up
because,
having to move
yeah.
out a week.
Yeah,
Right,
they dropped
right,
the ball
right,
on that one. They usually communicate.
It was done.
to
It
Tony
had been presented,
earlier.
right?
And they never
Yeah.
did, right?
they usually send it to us,
Right.
you know, and then we send it to you in your package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pushed us back and
It is, I didn't know that they had already presented it in Bethany before.
Yes, it was in her,
much time to
something I
review.
saw written and
Yeah.
All right,
scheduled.
just moving along.
You need to
Um,
vote on that.
Do we need to vote on that? All right, so I'll make a motion to.
Oh, no, the motion's
Got a
been made
motion?
and seconded, so we're
Right.
Just a vote.
Aye.
unanimous.
Thank you. Moving on, funding requests. All right, Tony.
Here they are.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to approve line item transfer 2526-15 in the amount of $78,480. This request is to fund the replacement of the generator and jaws of life on the fire department rescue truck due to a fire. The total claim is $185,884, and the insurance company owed $107,404, which leaves a balance of $78,480, or the replacement of the equipment. Do I get a second?
I'll make a second for purposes of discussion.
So this happened in October?
Yes. And
Okay.
the original.
So we just got the insurance response?
Well, their original request, the original amount they were gonna claim was 48,000. Until, we had to explain, and the chief did an excellent job of explaining that the, jaws of life and the associated equipment that was damaged is equipment that you can't get anymore, cause it's, 20 years old.
Yeah.
So, the kind they have now, that's only available is a battery. And therefore, that should be taken into account when they cover the equipment. We were trying to get them to cover the whole thing, but they considered the battery to be a betterment in terms of the type of equipment because of its, so they covered a portion of it. And that discussion's what took a while. And I will add also that, there was some serious consideration by the insurance company to total the vehicle. In which case, we would have gotten maybe a little more, but then we would not have a rescue truck.
Right.
And we would have to spend about $1 million.
Correct, we'd have to spend $1 million on a rescue truck.
And wait for 3 years.
And wait for
Right,
3 years.
right.
And
Wait
yes,
for
we
3
all-
years, right.
And they probably
We're all
wouldn't give us
experts
$1
on
million
this now.
for a new truck, cause
Right.
it's so old.
No, I was 140 maybe, 150,
great,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, good luck with
So
that.
it wasn't very much.
So the only thing I saw in here is we're funding 42,000 of it from Amity.
Yes,
So how does that pertain to the initial 305,000 that we're using as an offset? against
so
our-
we've gotten some positive information from the police budget, so I think with some flexibility in their budget to pay for some of that. So that's why I was able to take it from that budget. Their overtime's a little less. I
Okay.
think they're gonna cover more of their wages. Because that's what I was gonna use the 305 for, the police.
Okay, I saw the 305 as part of the whole
Yeah.
pot that was still netting us at $57,000
Right,
deficit.
gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that's why I didn't know if this was making the deficit deeper by pulling from the 305.
No, because
Okay.
on the police end, I think I've got a little surplus, so they're gonna
Oh,
wash
okay.
each other.
And these are accounts that you're pulling, are accounts that have.
These are all the other
been
accounts,
done. Very
essentially
creative.
the couch cushions
Whoa, yep,
of the
okay.
capital budget. All these projects were all projects that were
Got it.
finished,
So we're not gonna come back and need
Right.
anything from there.
correct,
Whoa,
including
okay.
including the two, the bottom two, which they were.
Right, yeah.
Oh, very
Oh
good.
my gosh, the playground.
Yeah, they were.
Long
Gracious
Time
and-
ago, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so all in favor?
Can I ask one thing before we vote?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Donovan.
Sure.
This was damaged in use,
Correct. In
or
use.
was it a fire?
No, it was in use. I believe it might have been a training exercise, but it was definitely during
I think he said
use.
it was a training
Yeah.
exercise.
It was not at a fire; it was at a training exercise, but it was definitely in use as a when they were using the item.
Are you saying they should cover more of the equipment?
I'm just trying to get a complete picture of how this was damaged. So it was,
The generators were caught fire, and it damaged the.
so the generator is what caught fire.
correct.
And then that damaged the jaws of life.
Yeah, particularly the main piece of equipment that all the tools feed into, which is connected to the generator. So that, because they're all hoses, they used to be hoses, hydraulic hoses, they used to function them. So the main thing that, it wasn't the actual tools that were damaged, it was the main piece of equipment that functions, that controls the jaws of life, that we can't replace.
This is a total loss.
Yeah.
I think it also, while we're on discussion, I think it also bears mentioning that the fire department normally would have a primary and secondary
Yes.
tool like the jaws of life. They've been using the secondary one, but it's from their in terms of what they do, they feel very strongly that they obviously need to have a backup in situations, particularly car accidents, obviously. I think we all know what they're used for. And they oftentimes have to use two, depending on how severe the car accident is. But I did want to make sure you all knew that they have a backup, and this would become the primary.
That's a good point. It's not like they're operating without one, but they're using their backup.
Is the backup also electric, or is that?
No, the backup's the old style.
Old style.
On
How-
a different truck.
Different, yeah.
Do we know how old that is?
I'm not sure. I don't. I can find out, but I'm not sure.
I'm just trying to figure out what the expected,
What's the next?
the life expectancy of this thing is, because these are not cheap, and the battery ones.
Pretty pricey.
Next week's meeting.
I can tell you it's not in the 6-year plan. If
Right.
that's
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just mention, just for the people who didn't listen, and this was discussed at the Board of Selectmen, they also mentioned that if our backup that we're currently using goes out, then they have to call for assistance from someplace else.
Another town.
continue.
Mutual aid from another
Mutual
town
aid
or
from another
something,
town,
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Okay, and then there's other funding requests.
Do you want to
So
vote
we
on
have
this
to vote
one?
for this.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Vote on
sorry.
that.
Do one at a time?
Yeah.
All in favor? All right, next funding request, line item transfer 2526-10 in the amount of $24,000. This is for the fees for a new general permit for stormwater associated with industrial activity. There are funds available in the bulky waste line,
Yes.
in the budget line to
Yes.
declining tonnages.
Yep. So, interestingly enough, when you raise a fee with garbage, sometimes you tend to get decreased tonnage. Bulky waste in particular, it sometimes finds its way to other disposal sources, and that's definitely the case here. That's why part of the reason why the revenues were also down, because the tonnages was down. And a stormwater permit is a new deep permit for industrial activity, which includes our public works facility. So we have to monitor stormwater as it comes off our facility. It's like that MS4, I don't know if you know this. It's monitoring stormwater and wastewater.
So that's interesting. So if you raise the fees on the garbage, the tonnage decrease. So where's the garbage go?
Right. That's a good question. Other places. It's like
For a
There
town.
are other towns that accept it.
it's like
Yeah.
water. It goes to the place of least resistance.
So that's what the stormwater is about.
Interesting.
You need a motion?
Luckily-
Melissa,
I need
did
a
you make
motion.
motion?
I'll make a motion. You want a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Any questions for Tony?
Yeah, I have a question. What's the permit for?
So it's we have to hire a firm to map and to track and to test the stormwater that comes off of industrial active facilities. And I know our public works facility is one such facility that because it's just right now it's just a series of locations around town and rivers and there's several locations around town that we test regularly. It's a new, it's several years old now, and this is adding industrial activity to that.
So are we out of compliance? Are we doing
No,
something that we're out of compliance, or like
No, this is new.
replacing?
No, this is new. So we previously didn't have to do industrial. This is a new industrial permit.
And they call the public works building industrial.
Yep.
Since when? Like, why is it now considered industrial and it wasn't before?
I'm not sure why it wasn't included before. I just know that in reading on the information, this was a something new that we have to do. It came out of DEEP in the last month. I have some information on it I can share with you.
So it's essentially a new regulation.
It's a new
that
regulation.
now includes our public works.
Okay.
Correct.
As however they define the regulation.
Correct.
Do we have other?
There are, but I know Public Works is one of them. I don't know all of them off the top of my head.
But this is for all of them.
Right.
Is this annually we have to test now? or
Yes,
we happen to-
annually.
Okay, yeah.
But the permit's only a one-time thing, right?
Right, and then we have to test.
So we
So the
see,
cost
we'll
will
see it
be-
in the operational budget.
Yeah, the cost of going forward should be less.
Did he disconnect?
by April 1st. Any other questions? Vote on it? All in favor? Alright. Next one, I'll make a motion for line item transfer 2526-11 for $55,000. This is to address the shortfall in the salt and sand account of the Public Works budget due to the heavy winter season. And this is for overtime salaries, I imagine.
It's coming from salaries, yeah, highway salaries and the director's salary line. And like I said, we have enough salt. I think we have 250 tons, which is enough for a moderate storm. And hopefully we're getting a delivery, I think they said next week or early a week after.
So, well, first of all, I'd say the Public Works has done a great job with the storms to date, especially in going to other towns. But how much will this give us, post the next storm, I guess? I'm just curious.
Right.
So we are getting a delivery of, I'll tell you 1 second. Let's see. She sent it to me.
I think we've had some mild winters up to this year. So last year must have been
Yeah.
surplus.
I know it'll last us for another storm after that. I'm trying to see. Supposedly the salt is starting to come in and should be. So we have 200 tons left in the salt dome, which covers us for another 2 storms if it's used sparingly, and then we should be get a delivery next week for another 250 tons, I believe. And then supposedly the salt's going to start coming in on a regular basis.
Okay.
So this is enough to get us through the season we anticipate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. That's the idea.
So how, the highway salaries, I think you said were overtime?
No, the highway salaries are because of injuries. If we have
Okay.
someone who's injured, we get reimbursed for workers' comp, and then leaves a surplus in salary. That's what that's from. And the other one is because Warren retired.
Okay.
And just for clarity, we make an estimate about how much salt and sand we need, and that's what we purchase initially, and then if it's a bad winter, we need to
Right.
replace it.
We usually estimate in the budget for a moderate to slightly better than moderate winter. And then if we have a bad winter, we just have to fund it. So which is why I don't like to use contingency until like April,
Yeah.
if because for this reason.
Good stuff. No other questions? We'll vote on it. All in
Did
favor?
you second that?
I think so.
I think she did, yeah.
I'll say sure.
All right, next one. It's a small one. I'll make a motion for line item transfer 2526-12 in the amount of $5,000. This request is due to unanticipated expenses in the building maintenance department. Asbestos monitoring in the center building, dumpsters for the clean out of the child care center, and some emergency pest control. Do I get a second on this one?
Second.
Any questions?
I'll give it to Christina.
Any
Thank you.
questions? Pretty explanatory. Let's take a vote.
I'm not gonna ask about emergency pest control. I'm just gonna stop right and go, yep.
So we're all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to fund line item, request number 2526-13 in amount of $25,000. This also is to fund the deficit in the repair and maintenance building account due to numerous unanticipated repairs to the town buildings. Repairs to the library HVAC system, $9,725. Air conditioning room at the police department, $8,500. Asbestos abatement at the center building, $9,000. Air compressor failure, Town Hall, $3,661. Do I have a second for this one?
Second.
Any, you want to explain this one?
So this is an example of our facilities, aging facilities.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Boy.
if you recall, the air compressor failure, that was on Brad's list when we met for the budget.
Yeah.
It was the next day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the air compressor failed for
How
the
quickly did he
for the
say, "I
sprinkler
told you
system. Yeah, so you had to have somebody come in and they had to replace it. It was,
Oh, boy.
so,
You didn't have bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all.
I'll tell you, it's been.
So,
Wow.
Tony, this is coming from contingency,
Awful.
it looks like.
No, yeah,
Okay.
this one is
So, do we have, where would we find
the balance.
the balance of contingency?
It's
like-
on the control sheet,
Okay,
which is included
Different
in your
fund.
package.
okay, all right, I'll go back and take a look.
And I'll tell you in a second, it's a little under 200,000 if I
You
remember
probably
correctly.
want to use the latest one with the large funding request on it.
It's like 8A, right? Agenda item 8A.
Yeah, my computer died.
Yeah, I think so.
I guess what's the balance? Anybody find it?
I'll get it for you in 1 second.
197, 854.
Yeah, that's it.
197, 854.
That's it. Yep.
And where do we start the year?
300.
300.
All right, not bad. The last one on the list, I'll make a motion to move line item transfer 2526-14 in the amount of 17,500.
Did we vote on that?
I thought we did. Did we vote on it?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did.
No.
No?
Well, everyone kind of raised, but
My apologies.
It was-
Not a lot of-
Informal.
I didn't hear a
Let's do
motion.
formal.
I asked the question on the contingency and probably disrupted us.
I think Bet
we
second.
need
I
a
guess
formal
we'll,
vote.
we'll take a vote. All in favor? Moving too fast, sorry.
That's okay. This is a lot.
Yeah.
Individual ones.
Okay, let me start over. I'll make a motion to move line item transfer 2526-14 in the amount of 17,500. And this is to request to fund the assistance of a human resources consulting firm for a new admin officer search. I guess I was, we talked earlier, I guess I wanted to see some sort of scope of work, but,
Mika,
do we have a second?
Mika, Mika could help with this. Did you get a second?
Yes.
Second.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, I think we all know, and I think I've spoken with most of you, if not all of you, in regards to Tony's, where Tony is as far as his career and his retirement eligibility is. So Tony becomes retirement eligible in March.
March. Yeah.
And being that he's qualified to the degree that he is, and he's the type of person he is, obviously there's other towns who would be very interested in having Tony as a resource for them. So one of the things we need to do, and we've been planning for Tony and I myself, and excuse me, I'm just trying to plug in my power cord because I'm running out. We've been planning for how we would address this. And what we've done is we've identified that first thing we need to do is we need to separate the two positions that Tony currently has. The admin officer, which is a position that's specified in the charter as required, and the finance director position. So this particular funding request is for the recruiting professional who would be able to help us in our search for a admin officer specifically. Admin officer, from my perspective, and this is just the way I look at it, is more or less the chief operating officer for the town. If the first selectman or mayors are chief executive officers, in our town the admin officer would be the chief operating officer, and obviously the finance director would be the chief financial officer. So what we've discussed, there is another town that, as I said, has some interest in Tony's services. That town manager from that town, the leader in that town, and I have been speaking, We're looking to potentially split Tony's time as a finance director, but as I said, what we really do need, and we need it quickly, and we need to make sure we get the right person, is a admin officer. And this 17.5 is, we looked at two recruiting firms. One of them, both of them, ironically, we separate quotes, separate requests. Both of them came in at about $15,000 for the job. But one of them, the one we did not select, is $15,000 was just an estimate because they only work on an hourly basis. So that was the best estimate they could provide us when we really pushed them to say, hey, we need to, we're budgeting, we need to have something. And that was the best they can do, and that didn't include expenses and things that they would need. So this particular Randy Frank firm quoted us 15 flat, and also approximately $2,500 in additional expenses. She has resources here in Connecticut that can work with us. Excellent reputation, particularly in regard to what we're looking for, the position that we're looking to fill. And it's somebody who's worked in Connecticut extensively in the past. So that's what this funding request is for. Now, the way they operate, plus in talking to both firms in regards to a little bit of detail in terms of how they operate, this firm, Randy Frank firm, will, in addition to do what you would think normally you would do in a recruiting standpoint, what they do is they start out by interviewing all of the Board of Selectmen, Tony, I think the Board of Finance,
I think so, yeah.
and the department heads,
Yep.
to understand exactly what the role entails. Their structure, the way they've outlined what they do. And did we put the Kay,
No,
did we put the
we didn't, no.
proposal in the?
I'll have Gay share it with the board.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yep.
But it's certainly everything that they've indicated lends us to feel very strongly that this is the right direction to go in, and it's something that we want to do. We want to do somewhat quickly. Now, there's more of this that goes on that I was going to talk a little bit about during my report, as relates to a greater degree of reorganization that goes along with all of this that I can get into and provide some detail on. But this particular funding request is very specifically for the recruiting of a admin officer for the town of Woodbridge. And for those who may not be aware, we had one previously. We always have to have one, which is why Tony has the title. But we had a separate admin officer 15 years ago, Tony.
Yes.
And when that individual retired, we overlapped that with Tony's role. Certainly times have changed in the last 15 years. There's considerably more responsibility that goes along with operating the town at this point in time. And so it's time for us to do this. And we'll get into more detail, as I said, during my report.
Okay.
Any questions?
So, I believe the Board of Selectmen voted on the reorg?
Sounds like it.
No, we did not vote on the reorg.
Okay.
The only thing we took a vote on, Scott, was specifically this, the
Okay.
17.5 for this.
Okay, so to approve the search.
Correct.
So when you say reorg, are you referring to Tony's part-time days?
Well, right, I mean, there was a whole reorganization plan, right, that included kind of splitting out the administrative officer and the finance director, right? And
Yes. What provides us, there is a grant opportunity that the other town that we're talking about is in the Capital Region Council of Governments. There's a grant in RPIP, it's called RPIP, grant that's available to them, that's available to all the councils of governments. For example, in our case, our council of government opted to offer it to the communities for cybersecurity. In their case, their council of government opted to offer it for shared services, particularly high-level shared services. So the expectation, or what the hope is right now, is that we will, the other town will be able to secure a CURE grant, which provides the opportunity for overall a 3-year grant that provides the opportunity overall for a 50% match for the funding to support the shared resource.
Okay.
Now, there's other, obviously, what we're looking at is an opportunity, we look at it as an opportunity to shore up some of our resources here in town, specifically to enable us to more effectively meet some of the demands that we currently have, that we simply do not have enough resources for. So it provides us an opportunity to do that as well, which is the reason we looked at a complete restructure. So Tony would work half-time for us and half-time for the other town. We would augment that with some additional resources, as we say, so we can actually make that happen feasibly. And then we would have obviously a full-time admin officer.
So for the purposes of the purposes of the discussion on hand, what we're talking about is Tony is going to go part-time for us only in the role of the finance director.
Right.
Right.
We therefore need this executive, I can't ever remember what the actual title is in the charter.
Even on a part-time basis, what it'll enable is
Right.
for us to do a little bit more strategic planning than what we've had an opportunity to do. We try to do obviously some as much as possible, but it certainly, Tony focuses on the budget. He focuses on the financials of the town, and I'm sure, Tony, you can better explain what value it brings to you when you can simply focus on that.
I would say that at times 70% of my time is admin related, and it tends to and lately has been taking more and more of my time, and less and less time to do finance. And there are things that I would like to do, like I would routinely to the Board of Finance. I haven't done it recently, but I would give at least once a year a 3-year projection on where the town is headed. I would be able to do a debt service analysis once a year, at least once a year, to show you where our debt service is. These are things that I used to do, and as the admin has taken over more and more of my time, I have less time to do that.
Understood.
Yeah.
I mean, for the purposes of our discussion, for me, it seems fairly straightforward, is that Tony is going part-time and going to be focused on the financial aspects of the town. The charter requires us to hire this other executive role, and separate from any reorg that Mika may talk about later, that's the matter at hand, is that we have to get a new position, and Mika is suggesting that we use an HR firm to find that individual as quickly as possible.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
our decision is on the search.
Right, period. And then we
Right.
can talk about the rest
For
of
the
it.
administrative officer.
Right. The administrative officer.
17.5.
And this is,
Am I wrong? I mean, I think,
So,
that's what I'm gathering.
Makes
right?
sense to me.
Mika,
The
are you on
reorg
mute?
is
That
not
is
us.
correct. And
Right.
the overall reorg restructure is something that'll take more time than
Right.
now. What we'd like to do as quickly as possible is obviously start this process in terms of securing a resource. Karen Crosby is also retiring. She's the assistant admin officer. So that's another resource that we'll need to go after, and it would obviously, if somebody's going to be the admin officer, you would think that they would want to have some say in who might be brought in to be the assistant admin officer. So this is the first domino, if you will, Tom, as you said. And there will be others as we move forward, and there'll be more detail provided to you and to the public and to the Board of Selectmen as we move forward.
So,
and I hate to ask the question, but I'm just gonna ask it because I think you made the right decision, which is not go to a company that's gonna do this hourly. And we've gotten a company that's gonna say it's 17.5. Do they give you an estimate of, I mean, assuming the 17.5 is that their experience, they're gonna be able to fill this role in a certain amount of time? Is there something in that contract that says?
They cannot guarantee it. It really depends on availability of resources, obviously. But they expect it should take 4 to 5 months, Tony, is what they said?
Yeah, at the most.
But is there additional charge if it goes to
No,
longer?
it's flat $15,000 fee.
Till they get a
But
position?
additionally, one of the other real benefits with this particular firm, and one of the things that did way well with them, is that should that admin officer, for any reason, not last 1 year, they will they will search for a new person at no charge.
Okay.
So just to give you an example, in one instance, they hired somebody who unfortunately passed away. And they did a search for the new person, because it was within a year, they did the search for a new resource. So that was so they come with something of a guarantee that you're looking to find somebody who's gonna be here for a little bit.
Who's
So,
gonna have
just for clarity, Mika, just for a process standpoint, so the person interviews the Board of Selectmen, and then that's how they determine a job description, or is that something they meet with
No,
Tony and Tony says?
This
is what we-
actually, through the interviews that I mentioned earlier, they develop a very specific job description for this individual. That's part of their charge. That's included in what we're talking about having them do. So they will create the job description for this based on the input provided
The
by
feedback from us, okay.
the various stakeholders in the town.
Understood.
Presumably, the charter has
Understood.
a job description of some set, right?
This charter does not have a job description.
It just says you need this person.
But it certainly doesn't have a job
I
description.
don't think it does.
Okay. Just says you
It's
need
Tony's combined job,
this. Right.
I would assume. So now we're.
I'm sorry, Scott?
I said it's Tony's combined job, and so that's why there would need to be a new job description.
Correct.
Rather than amount.
Right.
And then
It's
the
also a
part-time
job
basis. And
That, by charter, is reviewed every 4 years. So, the Board of Selectmen must reappoint anyone who's in that position for a 4-year term, every 4 years.
Who's gonna perform this, after Tony leaves this role?
You mean
I'm
in
sorry?
the interim?
Yeah, in the interim period. So after you leave the role of admin officer until somebody is
Because it's 4 or
assigned.
5 months of a gap there.
Right.
That's a good-
I think our switch over, by the time we have to apply for, wait for the grant to get finalized, we were just talking about that today, actually, and wait for the paperwork to come back from OPM. It's at least probably June or most likely July 1st will be my switch over. So, and then, if there's a month or so, I'll have to,
So
make it
Tony
work.
has graciously
Hang out.
I'll make it work.
indicated he would work with us through
Yeah.
this period of time as
Yeah.
we're looking for this resource.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
We'll make it
expect that
work.
he'll continue in the role as it exists
Yep.
until such time, as we're able to bring on the resource and then move to this as soon as possible. But it's obviously contingent, the grant does play a part in this, in terms of how quickly or how slowly that particular piece of it goes.
And when does Karen, does she have a date yet?
Karen is March 6th.
No, March 6th, couple of weeks.
Wow.
3 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, so you'll have no admin
There's
or
no
no
assistant.
assistant,
Yeah.
and
Well, we'll keep Karen on as, on a part-time basis.
Right, she can work
To continue
part-time.
to support
Yeah.
Tony and in our office.
okay.
So, and also from a funding standpoint, because Karen will be retiring and we won't be filling her role right away, she'll be working at part-time, which means we won't be paying for benefits and we'll be paying a lower salary. The same holds true for our Public Works Director who recently retired, Warren. It's not a position that we'll immediately fill as we look toward that, so we'll have additional excess or additional surplus as a result of that. So although we're looking for the 17.5, the way Tony's described it in the funding request, we expect that we'll have some latitude or some wiggle room there in terms of how we're actually paying for it. So it kind of covers what we need.
Well, congratulations, Tony. I want to be
Yeah.
like you when I
Yes,
grow up.
Congrats.
now what are we going
I
to do?
can tell you, in talking to these recruiters, the professional that I talked to, she thought, because, we initiated by saying, hey, Tony might be retiring. And one of her first comments was, I'm sorry, I can't help you with the finance director. And it's, the demand for a finance director in the state of Connecticut has just apparently skyrocketed. And looking at it and talking to different people like COG and our COG and their COG, it's a role that you want to make sure you have someone and keep someone if it's at all possible, because it's a very, very difficult position to fill. They won't even do it. They won't even take it on.
And I get like notices from the group that I'm in, and 3 towns have opened up in the last week.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Tony, thank you for staying
So-
on with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This contract doesn't call for percentage of salary once the person's hired, right?
no,
No, it's a
Nope.
flat, but yeah, that's how it usually works, right?
I didn't understand the question, say that again?
Typically, headhunters get a percentage of the salary once that person's hired. I just want to make sure that this caps our.
No, correct.
It's just a
You're absolutely
retainer.
it's
right.
capped, yeah. I said, yeah,
Yes, that's correct.
you can upload it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good discussion.
We tried to avoid that specifically because that doesn't always get you I've had a lot of experience with that on the corporate side. Sometimes you need to do it, but if you don't need to do it, this is a better way.
All right, I think Tom in second, so.
Yes.
So all in favor? All right, next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Can we do this all at once?
Good.
The regular meeting on January 15, 2026. Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, budget meetings from the 20th, the 22nd, the 27th, and the 29th.
I have
I
a
know
net.
you were
Yeah,
out, right? You were
you're
out?
right, 'cause you weren't at one,
Right.
at some of them, right?
Oh, yeah,
Right.
yes. Thank you.
I think
Okay, so
Abby,
you know.
You were out
Yeah.
a few of these. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So do we have to divide them up? So
Yeah.
that-
no,
We might-
I mean, I can qualify my vote.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to approve minutes on the date stated. Can I get a second?
I'll second it. I have one, well, it's silly, it's a little number that's left out in the January 15th, 2026, first paragraph. I did read them. Fund balance is at 6/30/20, it says 202. I think it should have a 6 after it, maybe? That's it. Everything else was perfect.
I'll double check it and
Yeah,
I'll
it's
change
no-
it.
It's not a problem. It's a little thing.
Okay, I have one as well.
Oh, that's okay.
On the 20th, in medical services, the 340K figure has like a rogue M at the end of the numbers. I just didn't want it to be misinterpreted as like million, which I know it wouldn't be.
Oh,
but
okay. It
just-
must have been like a,
That's really going rogue.
That was a big rogue.
Right.
oh, I see that. Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks
No
for
problem.
catching that.
Thank you.
Do we,
My eyes get a little crazy after all that.
Can't imagine.
do we need a motion for those changes? Beth, or
I
no?
think you did it and I did it.
And you second.
So I'll second.
You second.
All in favor? Abstain, I guess.
So
you
our
abstain.
votes,
Yeah, so do you want to go first?
I think I was only at the first one, which is the 20th in person.
Yeah, I have the,
Okay, if you've got the attendance.
yeah, so
yes.
you'll abstain from the one you were not.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
right.
And
The
and
one that was
I
not.
vote aye for the 22nd and abstain from the rest.
Okay.
And I wasn't in person for all of them, but I was listening in, so I think I can.
Yeah,
vote
you're
to-
good.
You can
I think
vote
you're good.
for all of them.
Yeah, you were on the phone.
Yeah.
All right, so
I think we passed.
Beth? Good. Next item on the agenda, Scott had sent a proposal to establish a bipartisan joint advisory committee.
Mr. Chairman, before we discuss the proposal, if we can even do so, I just need a clarification in terms of whether or not this should have come to us as an email, or in other words, an ex parte discussion, because it came as an email to the board, but it's not in the public view at
Right,
this point. And I don't know whether, I did not respond, I don't know if anyone else did, I just didn't because I wasn't sure I should do so, because
I think
that's
Tony was the only one that
out of-
responded
right,
to it.
out of, public eye, is
Yeah.
in the interest of freedom of information, just making sure it's clear. So that's why I didn't personally
Yeah.
respond. Discussing
And
this,
look,
I just want to get a clarification on that, because I don't think we should, I always thought we should not respond via email amongst ourselves, because it's almost like having a discussion.
Which would then constitute an illegal meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
You're
know it's
correct.
me.
In this case, it's regarded as a recommendation for an agenda item.
Right, that was the spirit of
Chair
Right.
how I
and,
said.
I didn't even know if
to
we
Tony
could
as
do
our,
that,
as
so I
our,
just, yeah,
and Gay as our administrators.
okay.
So regarding it as a agenda item, it was added to the agenda, and now is the time to have the discussion. You're completely and totally right
Okay.
about not being able to exchange thoughts and ideas on email.
I think there's a freedom of information meeting
Next week.
coming up, yeah,
Yeah.
which I'd
I'll
like
be
to
there.
go to get
Yeah.
all this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well,
they-
and the other question that I have, again, Scott, I'm not pointing fingers right now, I just want to make it clear that, but I think that we should have a discussion, because my understanding on every board that I've been in town is that the chair of that board sets the agenda. And therefore, and I think that's what we're supposed to do, so only using you as an example, not as a pointing finger.
Use me. That's all right.
I think what is the correct course of action is for you to send for one of us to send something to Donovan.
To Donovan, okay.
Say, I'd like to add this to the agenda. Donovan could then talk to Tony and say, this is reasonable, or I need more time, so let's put it on the next one. And then I think Donovan is the one who has to say, yes, let's put it on the agenda. Just going forward. I mean, it's just,
Okay.
just so we're, and then we also avoid the issue of possible ex parte discussion.
Yeah, because if someone had replied to the email and say, hey, we
Then
still
we're in
have a
trouble.
discussion, then
Right, or commented on it.
yeah, it gets
Right,
a little,
right.
hairball-y. So
Okay, all right. So next time through Donovan first. That's the channel.
in either case, I don't know if Scott, if you want to give us. a
Yeah, I
summary
mean,
of,
I'm assuming everybody received it. I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at it, but
Yep.
I mean, obviously, we're going through the budget process right now, right? Looking at what's in, what's out, CapEx, operating expenditures. You know, the next step for us, obviously, will be the mill rate discussion, right? And how do we balance that? And my thinking here is knowing that the mill rate is about 2 months away, right, in terms of when we would have that discussion. Should we begin the process now of looking at some alternative ideas versus simply the straight math on where the mill rate goes? And the meaning and the reasoning behind that is obviously with the revals from last year, there were major increases, right? And when we started, you know, we sat through the budget meetings last month, we were looking at an 8% increase on top of where a lot of folks already took a major increase last year as well. So I think we had some great conversations back in November and December, and we had the elderly tax relief and the veterans tax relief. And this has sort of been germinating with me since then, right? Like, what else can we do more specifically for those that were really impacted by this, as they will continue to be impacted at least until the next reval that occurs. So the thought was to establish a joint advisory committee. So a couple of representatives from the Board of Selectmen, as you know, they would approve any ordinance that would come down the line, right? And with the Board of Finance at the same time, and do it on a bipartisan basis, really in the spirit of surfacing more alternatives to how we could balance the tax burden. So that's my quick summary of
I have
what
a
I'd say.
general question, perhaps
Yeah.
for you or perhaps for Mika. Do we, as a Board of Finance, have the authority to establish an advisory committee, or does that have to come from the Board of Selectmen?
If it's a committee of members beyond beyond the Board of Finance, it would generally be from the Board of Selectmen who would establish the committee.
Yeah,
with
the structure
different
is two
members of
finance, two
different
selectmen.
commissions.
Yeah.
If it was a subcommittee of the Board of Finance, you're certainly able to do that.
Okay.
But I think, Scott, what you're looking for is something that has a greater, that has multiple stakeholders from different, or members of different stakeholder groups, correct?
Yes, yes, from both boards, and again, the
Yes.
reasoning for that is obviously they provide the budget recommendation. We make the decision on the mill rate, and rather than have that in a very condensed time frame, first week of May after we go through the public hearing and everything on the budget, this would give us a little more time to really surface some additional alternatives that are out there for those that. For everybody, but in particular, really around what happened with the revals. So,
I have a
And
question.
there is kind of a template, Beth, in terms of this having been done to some degree. You, as a matter of fact, Beth had established a similar type of an arrangement where some selected members of the boards got together, met separately, and with the intent of identifying any efficiencies that could be garnered. So it's something that has been at least attempted and worked before. So it's not completely, we're not starting from scratch, so to speak.
right.
We
That was
wouldn't be
when-
if
that
this
was
is
when I
something
was
that
on
we
the Board
wanted
of
to do.
Selectmen,
And it is
not-
something
not
that I'd be
finance.
more than happy to take to the
Right.
Board of selectmen after you folks feel that it's something you want to move forward with.
Right.
I mean, my sense on this is that we clearly have an issue. I'm sort of torn between, one, I think it belongs in the Board of Selectmen and then they can invite us. But also I wonder the role of Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance to, sorry, Tony, I'm gonna put you on the spot here, and I know you're short-staffed, is that, do we ask the staff to look for opportunities versus volunteers who may not be experienced or knowledgeable in some of these areas? I think the questions you're raising in terms of how do we get information to figure out how to do this?
We would staff the committee, and we can certainly provide you with examples of what currently exists in other towns. We have a lot of that data. I know Mika's done a lot of research on this generally, correct?
Yes, I have.
And
So-
we've done some research on the Homestead Act.
Correct.
Additionally, so we can certainly provide what we currently have for your discussion. We would support the group.
So thinking about like other years where, the housing market has been what it is, so maybe like mid 2000s or something, has the town done anything like this? Some sort of a joint committee or special deliberations in order to like really dive deep into this topic?
I could tell you when I first came on, after it was a few years, there was a joint committee to discuss the elderly stabilization, which resulted in the ordinance that we currently have. And
Is that the ordinance that we currently changed?
correct, and that was done by I want to say it was I'm trying to remember the two individuals with their
Was
standing.
it Bill Silverberg?
One was
and
Bill
Michael
Silverberg
Luther?
and
Maybe
Michael Luther. Yeah, those were the
I'm
two.
that old.
Yep, you're right.
You're
That's
not that
who it
old
was.
because you remember
I
their
remember
names.
those
That was
folks.
it. That was it. Bill Silverberg
Yeah,
and Michael Luther.
right.
Yeah.
And it was very helpful.
It was. They did a lot of research, and I supported the group, and so did the assessor.
Correct, yep.
I think it's a thoughtful suggestion. My only concern was, I think Mika, you're working on something like this, and I probably want to hear more from our town attorney in terms of his feedback. And I think he's presenting to the Board of Selectmen at some point, especially on the Olmsted Act that's being kicked around, and Scott's idea. So I think there's a lot of things going on that, if you form a committee, like Tom said, you may not have the expertise or the time, and 4 and 4 may not be enough, 2 and 2 may not be enough.
If
I
this
guess
is
we
an
wanna
ad
see
hoc, it will
more
require
information.
staff, correct, to show up and also do minutes and
Right.
file agendas and all that stuff too, we have to think about.
It also seems like a
cost
lot of
around it.
what, I'm so sorry, I just spoke
No,
over you.
go ahead.
That's what we do here, it's okay.
But some
We're
of the
friendly.
activities in here are things that, we would be doing as a committee anyways, right? So would it somehow delay some of the decision-making or work that would be done by the Board of Finance? Just devil's advocate position here.
Well, I guess my question is only, sort of similar. It seems to me that our role is to say, here's what the Board of Selectmen have set for policy. I think it behooves us, because they're doing anyway,
Right.
is to say, hey, do it, and if they want to include some members of the Board of Finance, I don't know that any of us would object to the concept. But in terms of setting the mill rate and setting, the budget, I don't see this changing anything. I think it's a useful exercise. I think any relief we can get, any way of spreading things out is a great thing. And if we can get information, I just don't know that it changes. I think it'll change how the taxes are done, but not what our work is I guess my only question.
Right. I don't think this changes our role. It merely is to bring more ideas to the surface earlier, instead of getting to the 11th hour and then saying, okay, what are we going to do?
And I
right?
agree, I totally agree with that.
And quite honestly, I think given the impact that this has had on a lot of people, and we are going to go, in front of the town with another budget increase, and it's going to make what hurt people
What
hurt them
I'll
even
offer,
more.
what I'll offer in addition is, I've obviously spoken to a number of my peers as relates to, because there's many towns that have gone through exactly what we've gone through, obviously, with revaluation. Maybe not to the significant degree of us. Some of them might be 45%, we were 56, that type of thing there. But certainly they've gone through the same, generally gone through the same type of thing. And for the most part, there's no solution. You would think of, this happens. Tony, what was it, about 15 towns each year, or most years are going through go through the revow.
Yep,
This
14 to
past
15.
year, there were 13 of them. We were one of them. And most of them did not, just did what we did. So from that perspective, there doesn't seem to be a lot of alternate solutions out there. However, there's legislation that just that exists that does, at least in theory, provide some opportunity for us to look at. And what I like about this type of an arrangement is the fact that there are additional resources looking at this beyond what Tony and myself might be able to do. And bring something to the table, report on a regular basis, so it's not something like Scott said, that you get into August and you realize you got to get something done by October, and can you get it done because it's an ordinance and you need public hearing and you need 30 days, etc. So it's something that I would like to see us start now. As Tony mentioned, there are some things that I've identified that in working with our lawyers. The big thing in regard to homestead, which is in my mind, and I know everybody's probably tired of hearing me say it at this point in time, the lawyers were very, very vocal in that the way the homestead was laid out and what we thought we would want to do, the way it would work if we tried to use it, left us open to significant, or left anyone open to some significant lawsuits. But there have been some changes that may change, that there have been some modifications that may change that. So what we've done at this point, what I've done is specifically asked for our attorney to look at this from a formal perspective and give us an opinion letter, very specific opinion letter that defines whether or not we can do something here. And if there is something we can do, then we're going to need to figure out what the best thing to do is. And it would be great to have some resources on the caliber of you folks to help us get that done. That's kind of the way I look at it. If there's other opportunities, for example, there's scores of different tax relief programs that
Right.
different towns use, literally. So, and we've certainly modified ours to try to help our elderly population, but there might be more we can do.
Right. And can we go deeper, Mika, than, elderly and veterans were great, right? But you have a pocket of a sizable number of folks in town, right, that would benefit from this.
And I don't want to, I sort of do want to cut off conversation, but not really cut off conversation. I think we can reach a consensus that this concept sounds good. It sounds like Mika is amenable to this. Then I think we pass it back off to
Board of Selectmen.
Selectmen and wait and see. But I think it's a great idea to have people looking at it. The more eyes looking at it, the better.
So we can make a recommendation, that's what we can do. We can make a recommendation
Okay.
to the Board of
That they
Selectmen
consider this.
to consider.
I don't know what the process of that is. I don't think it's a formal motion.
It's like this,
is it?
I'd like to make a motion to make a recommendation from the Board of Finance to the Board of Selectmen that they establish said committee as described
Yeah.
by Scott Prudhomme.
And
Thanks.
I can't say it's gonna be 2 and 2, but I'm not sure.
So what was that motion again?
To make a recommendation from the Board of Finance
Yeah.
to the Board of Selectmen to consider establishing this joint advisory committee as described by Scott Prudhomme.
And can I make a friendly
That
change?
depends.
I'm going to say it, and you can agree or not. I would like to say that the
Well,
motion.
there's a motion on the table, let's.
Well, but I was going to try to make a friendly.
Friendly amendment.
Sure.
Make a
Which
friendly
is to
amendment.
not say as outlined by Scott, specifically the way, this is what the committee should be.
There's flexibility.
I would like to say that the recommendation is that such a committee to do what you have outlined as opposed to the details of
Or
it.
consider this.
I'll,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
like,
I will accept your
Perfect.
friendly amendment. But I do think that we need to provide some guidance to the Board of Selectmen. I think Mika understands that, what we're trying to do here, but formally, I think it's appropriate to provide some guidance so that they know what our focus, our intent here is to drive tax relief ideas, whether it's for this budget cycle or the next. You
Right.
know, just that needs to be specifically the focus of this committee. And then that way, there's not a whole lot of overlap, like you guys are
Right.
talking about, between our role and their role.
do we have
That's-
to clarify that
What's the
motion a little bit?
motion again?
Right.
Okay, so we should clarify this. So
Yeah.
there's a motion to make a recommendation from the Board of Finance to the Board of Selectmen to establish a joint bipartisan advisory committee to focus on tax relief ideas.
For those impacted by the revaluation.
I would just say tax relief, period, because.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd rather not limit it.
Not limit.
Because if we have, if
Yeah.
we
So we're
don't,
asking them to establish this committee.
we're suggesting they establish
A-
such a committee
Making a
to look for
recommendation.
tax
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
We're recommending that, that they consider establishing, I don't know if I need to specify an ad hoc, because that's up to the Board of Selectmen anyway.
Right.
Okay.
But it would be temporary in nature.
And I don't, I mean, again, in that motion, sorry, we're wordsmithing, but, you know, that includes members of Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen is our recommendation.
Whoever has the time.
Yes. So joint board.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it would be a joint bipartisan advisory committee composed of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen.
Members of, yeah.
And you wanna get rid of outlined by Scott,
No, yeah.
Yeah, get my
Yeah.
name out.
nix that,
Okay, I'm sorry, can you just read it back? 'Cause
Yeah.
I just want,
if I can read it
there's a
back.
lot of friendliness going on
Yeah.
down there.
To recommend the Board of Finance to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to consider establishing a joint advisory committee comprised of the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen to, for the purpose of tax relief.
I would say members,
Yeah.
not the whole board.
Yeah,
'cause,
members
yeah.
comprised
Other
of.
than that, it's great.
Great.
I got,
I
thank
guess I
you.
would.
Thank you.
I would.
Sorry about that. Just,
No, we had to.
Maybe I would add.
I'll even second it.
Bipartisan. You
Bipartisan.
Yeah,
Bipartisan,
and
yeah.
I'll second that.
I'll pull it right from your,
It's fine.
Don't copy everything.
no, just the title.
All right,
All right.
do we have to vote?
So I think Beth seconded it.
Who
Yeah.
seconded it? Beth?
Beth,
All in favor?
Always.
unanimous.
Great.
Good job, Beth.
All right. All right, Mika, first selectmen's report.
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
You're on mute.
Sorry, Tony, my meeting
Thank
is
you.
quick as
Yes, I did want to make sure that this group was aware, but also anybody you may speak with who's part of a board or commission understands that there is an informative session that will be held on February 26th at 6:30 at the Center Cafe to review Robert's Rules of Orders, the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, and the Woodbridge Charter as relates to conducting town meetings. So it's something that if you're new, or if you've been doing it for a while and just want a refresher, this would be a fantastic opportunity to do so. We will record the session, but it's sometimes being there in person and asking the questions is a great way to do it. This month I'll be starting what I'm calling a neighbor-to-neighbor community conversation next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, at the library meeting room. I'll open to the public just an opportunity to have a open dialogue and where they can ask questions and I can get input or feedback. So that's something that's happening next week. And just a reminder, we talked a little bit about tax relief. Our expanded tax relief programs did take effect into January. And if you have neighbors who you know are elderly and might qualify based on incomes, it's important that they apply. They must apply. we're starting to work with the SCROG resource just recently, which is going to help us a lot in different areas. Let's see. Steve Munno was officially designated as our deputy first selectman. And also during our meetings, we did recently have an executive session, joint session with town planning and zoning, specifically to discuss the Open Communities lawsuit. That'll continue. We'll do that on a more regular basis than we have been doing it in the past as that lawsuit continues to progress, and get information that we're able to get out to people. The 2030 committee was officially dissolved. The 2030 committee, if you recall, was what started and what was instrumental in securing the $8 million LOTSIP grant we have for our business district. What a number of the members had to or felt they should leave the 2030 committee. So the member who was available, we've rolled in. We had some capacity on the EDC committee, and we had been for the last year really trying to migrate this to the EDC. So that's happening at this point in time now. Should also let you know that the Charter Revision Committee was established, and they actually did meet this week. So that effort will be going forward. We had applied through a resource that we work with, an SMM grant, which is statewide materials management. It relates to our solid waste, our trash. And specifically, let me just get some information here. This is an opportunity for grant funding, specifically to explore sustainable materials management strategies, including unit-based pricing for trash and expanded opportunities for food scrap diversion, which is something since I started I was hoping we could work toward. So it's specifically to reduce the waste generation and control our long-term solid waste costs. And also advance the environmental benefits and stewardship that goes along with that. This is round 2 of this grant. The first round, and I've talking to some of my peers, it did not go as well as they would have hoped it would. Where we're going to start with this is an education and a public engagement process whereby we educate our residents in terms of what the potentials are with this, and we get their feedback. There is no commitment on this from a grant perspective. For phase 1, it's simply to determine if the town wants to go in this type of direction through a public engagement process and education. So it's kind of exciting in one sense, and for those of you who might not be aware of pay-as-you-go, it's something to the degree of you buy specific bags to take to the transfer station, and it helps in terms of reducing the waste. And many of the towns who have noticed the most significant positive impact, are towns that are similar to ours, like Kent and like some other smaller towns. And the last thing I just wanted to review is just kind of give you an overview as relates to this reorg that we spoke a little bit about before. Being able to do what you've heard what we're doing as far as Tony is concerned. And in doing that with the grant is a 3-year grant. At the end, and there's a resolution that's required by the governing body, by the Board of Selectmen, that says we understand we have to pay 50%, and we also understand that it ends in 3 years, and if any expenses that go along with that after 3 years, we care for it. But it also offers us an opportunity to bring in additional resources, if you will. Restructure. One of the things that's what we're doing right now, and what we're really lacking in one area is community engagement in communications. And what I mean by that is everything from our website to managing programs for our new community center and IT and things of that nature. And so this would bring in an addition. This would allow us to bring in an additional resource whose focus would be those things as well as many others. that we try to get done to the best of our ability right now, but we are definitely limited in terms of what we can do. And this would also allow the focus to be, along with the admin officer being there, it would allow us, as Tony said, for him to be focused on what he does, the admin officer to be focused on what that person does, and myself to be focused on more strategic and looking at everything, and also be able to participate more so than I am right now in terms of some of the long-term strategic activities and initiatives that are necessary to really truly make us successful. We operate with slightly less people than we did back 10, 20 years ago. But with the workload has significantly increased in terms of not only workload, if you think about it, you didn't have a lot of what you have right now as relates to social media, as relates to website, as relates to a lot of different things. And with the space program, we haven't really spent a lot of time in terms of doing that. I know that the feedback I've received from residents, one of the most significant bits of feedback are the positive remarks related to the fact that we do more things from a family perspective in town with events that enable folks to meet their neighbors and participate in town events that make them feel like our town is different than others. So that's been tremendous. I've really gotten tremendous feedback on that. We had over 1,000 people at our last Earth Day, our Earth Day event. DEI, there's a number of things we've been doing. Easy to look at it and say, well, those things maybe we can stop doing, but those things are actually what make people feel good about their town. And that's an important element of what town government should be doing. So that in a nutshell is what we're looking to do. And we can do this. And also it may provide us, if we were to include, for example, an economic development specialist of some sort and limit it to what we did is so far in terms of what we're doing, we're limiting it to about $25,000. The increase, the overall impact to the first selectman budget would be about $15,000. If we did not do that, obviously we would save about $10,000. So we can shore up our resources, put ourselves in a better position to be successful, and to produce and provide more for our residents, and we can do so at or below the budget we have right now. I'd like to see us do something with economic development, but that's the one piece that's kind of a optional, if you will. Any questions? There will be more information. There'll be more charts, more more in-depth presentation as we flesh this out with job titles and things of that nature and dollars associated with it. But generally speaking, what we're looking to do, we would be able to do without potentially without any increase to our town budget. Tony, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Any questions, folks?
I mean, I think we have to see it a little bit more fleshed out, but one question I have for you, Mika, is whether or not you think that it'll be fleshed out in time for consideration in next year's budget? Or are you saying that because it's revenue neutral, that
It doesn't have to be.
it doesn't have to be? Okay.
Correct.
So I have one question, Mika. You mentioned the elimination of the 2030 committee.
Say one more time, Donovan,
You
I'm sorry.
mentioned the elimination of the 2030 committee. Is that,
Yes.
if you want
What
to,
we've done is we've kind of
I know that impacts.
dissolved the
business.
2030 ad hoc committee, but we've moved or migrated the additional responsibilities and the ongoing work that they do to EDC. And EDC will be functioning with that as being a part of what they do, like including it on their
Okay.
agendas and continuing to work on it in the same vein that the 2030 had been working on it. I can tell you, and I sincerely, Beth put this together. It was a tremendous success in terms of getting us the grant, and the individuals who were involved, particularly Chris Dickerson and Susan Jacobs, and all of the group were fantastic in terms of the work they did and where they were able to accomplish and the way they went about it. It was a collective effort, nonpartisan effort, and it showed, and it was something that the residents down in the business district took to as a result of the way it was done and what it provided.
Yeah, I thought they were doing a good job. I know it benefited
Yeah.
the businesses in the area. I was wondering, oh, okay, so it'd be, okay, makes sense.
Just 2030 seems such a long way. I figured
That's
I'd be in the home by the time.
What is
you-
it,
right.
20?
Not anymore, does it?
I always
Getting
say,
close
I'll be
to
in the home
2030,
by-
so, yeah.
I'll be at a nursing home when they finish their charge. Okay, so that's a relief.
All right, thank you, Mika. No more questions for Mika. Liaison reports? No liaison reports?
I have one.
You have one?
That's
Okay.
okay. I went to the Board of Fire Commissioners meeting last night, and the chief said they are very clearly watching their budget very closely, the current FY26 budget, because there's some issues. We've heard some of them this evening, and there perhaps might be more related to the building maintenance line and then the repairs and maintenance of a lot of the apparatus. There's still things coming, so they're watching that very closely, and I guess he's talking with you, I guess, Tony, when things pop up.
Yes.
And, you know, we had an example of that this evening. The other thing is the new tower truck is coming, delivered in approximately 3 weeks, and then they're going to have to do training, so it looks like it will be, they're hoping to have it operational for the town by April 1st, which isn't bad. So the current tower will have to remain in service until then, and they had, I guess, to do some repairs on that recently.
Yep.
So,
That was last month.
yeah, before they knew we were getting this
Right.
truck, so
Not April
unfortunately,
1st for sure.
that happened. And then the commissioners reviewed some of the recent Board of Selectmen proposals that came in a couple of nights ago, and they are concerned on several of these proposed reductions, but we'll be getting those, and I guess we can talk about this further on our March 4th? Is that when it is?
Yes,
Not really
they've been
set.
uploaded to a shared drive, so you should all have
Yes.
access to
Yeah,
them.
it just came this
This
afternoon, I
afternoon,
think.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so-
got that, thank you.
Okay.
And then just lastly, a good thing, the association put together an entire load of toys that they've been collecting for the Toys for Tots program, and they received a lovely letter from the Yale New Haven Health Hospital Auxiliaries Toy Closet thanking them. And I guess a lot of the volunteers and the juniors went over and they delivered all the toys, and it's a lovely
Nice.
letter. It went to Amy Bogush, that's the only thing. She worked there before Tita, so that's gotta be clarified, but it was a lovely thing. They collected mostly during the Santa and Mrs. Claus event and a few other times at the firehouse. It's just a good thing that happened, so there's some good news to end.
I was traveling last week, wasn't able to attend the police commission, but I checked in with their meeting online. One thing that I did think was interesting is there's a lot of discussion around the renovations and the project that's on the way. But it was interesting to hear that there was a $1.3 million grant for an operations center that apparently they're working, or Rosa DeLauro is going after, which I don't know how that directly affects the 5 million, but I'm going to dig into that a little further. But I thought that was
Nice.
kind of a highlight for me.
Scott,
Yes.
we had actually received word that we were getting the grant,
Right.
like this past, within the last year. And it was, as a result of a lot of the changes in the federal government, things didn't work out the way that we hoped. They're not doing those types of grants for this fiscal year, so it won't be until the year following that becomes available. We have every reason to feel that we would, again, be, there's a good likelihood we'll get it, but that's, just so you know, from a timing perspective, what's going on.
Okay.
That's something we
1.3 million is
applied for
1.3
about a
million.
year and a half,
Exactly.
or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think a lot of encouragement from what I could gather around, they felt that they were heard during the budget process, and it was more enthusiasm. And then the other thing that jumped out is they had 3 vacancies on the police department. They filled 2 of them, and those folks are through their training. So there's like some overtime that was really kicking in there, and now they'll be back in regular rotation. So I'll
And I
make
believe
the next meeting.
I quickly glanced at the revised budget, and I guess they eliminated one position. They decided
They
not
did,
to.
well, that's for 27, right?
Correct.
That was,
27.
right, so they're in effect
Mr.
fully
Chair.
staffed.
I mean, just kind of dovetail off of what Scott and Beth both said, last year in particular, but even 2 years ago. Tony and I harped significantly on the fact that as we continue to go forward, if we don't grow as a town and to some degree, however we can, the only thing left to do is impact on people and programs. And we are absolutely there. You know, this is going to be a very, very difficult budget year, as you know, and it's going to be very hard not to impact on people and programs. So look for your help in trying to do what we can to make sure that we care for our taxpayers, and hope that we can make this work.
I appreciate it, Mika. No further liaison reports? Good. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
I'm not doing it again, you guys,
All in
that's it.
favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Feel better,
Take care.
Mika.
Take care.